The USO Penitentiary is back open for business while Smackdown decided to do their booking back to front for a change. What a way to compete with AEW. Welcome to the Smack Attack. Money James McIver alongside my partner in crime, as always, John Enright. And also by a guest, someone who stepped in for us last week. Very much appreciated. The man himself, Rad Rob. We've got so much to talk about in this episode. We're just going to get straight into it because little do people know, I've had an absolute shambles getting this set up. So here we are, rocking and rolling. Hello, how you doing, Rob? How you doing today? You're coming fresh off the Thunderdome last night on Smackdown. What was it like?
Well, have me on again. It was nice to fill in for you last week. I think we probably had the best.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
The Thunderdome was weird. It was my first appearance on there. So what they do is they email you and they have you sign up for it. And once you sign up for it, if there's spots that are still left open, they'll say, "Okay, we'll send you another email the day of the event time." So you're not always on for the entire show.
Yeah.
My call time was 9:30 Eastern, so that's about a half hour left of the show. So I got on at 9:30 Eastern. I clicked on the link, and they take you to this waiting room where they say, like all the seats are full, and it has like a 180-second countdown clock. And then once that goes up, you hit try again, and you can either get in or you don't. So it took me several times to get a seat. I probably got a seat with about 20 minutes left.
So is that like a total
in the show?
Is it like a total crapshoot then to get on?
Pretty much. And it's funny, you hear. I didn't recognize the voice, but you hear a producer in the background that will give you cues. Like during commercial break, they'll say, "We have, nothing in your seats."
Yeah.
It's funny. I was watching the final match, which was Dominic Mysterio against Rude and Ziggler.
What a weird.
And when Dominic got introduced, the producer said, "Oh, Dominic's coming out with some fire. Everybody cheer for Dominic." So they're literally telling the people in the Thunderdome how to act and what to do. It was pretty eye-opening.
It's awfully bizarre that they go through this sort of like tell you how to cheer and how. I mean, I suppose it doesn't really matter because you can't. They could just, if they wanted to, they could just cut out your audio and then play whatever background noise they wanted to. So it seems a bit odd that they make you do that. Is it just supposed to be like? Is it just atmosphere? I've always been curious about what it is. Like for me, it just seems like it's a big atmosphere thing to make it seem like people are there. But then to tell you how to react, like, do you ever get the sensation to try something different, see if you get away with it? Was there ever a moment where like, I'm just gonna boo or something? I mean, it might be lost in a sea of cheers or whatever, but you think there's something in there you could?
Yeah, I did. I mean, you'll see some quote smart fans try to do stuff like that, like boo and cheer for the right people, but pretty much I just sat here with like this, for those who are watching, with a stoic face and didn't really show that much emotion.
Yeah.
But you're watching the live feed, and it's funny that the live feed audio is actually way better than what they show on Fox or any other network, because as you guys have probably noticed that like the crowd noise is usually louder than the announcers, or the music is too loud, and it's never really a good audio mix. But you're getting their direct feed from the truck, so everything sounds clear and crisp, and it was kind of funny. I was able to actually hear the commentators pretty well, which normally on TV that you can't.
Yeah, that's not bad. John.
So is there like any? Yeah, sorry, it's Lake House edition, and the neighbor your boats jet skis out right now while we're podcasting. That's okay. Do they pipe in crowd noise though for you guys too, Rob? When you're out there? No, you hear the direct feed from the truck, so you can't hear. You can maybe hear it a little bit in the background because I think they actually pump it through the speakers in the arena, so you can hear a little bit, but it's not overwhelming like it normally is if you're watching it on broadcast television. Mm-hmm. So you're hearing a lot more of the bumps and everything then too. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not bad.
All right.
That's pretty cool going.
Cool. Yeah.
So you can still hear the commentary sound from what they're saying and what they.
Absolutely, 100%. You can literally hear them like they're talking in your ear. It's very was very clear, very clean audio. What's funny is they show commercials in between breaks, and they just run their own commercials. They're actually showing commercials for shows on the WWE Network, and for those of us here in the States, obviously we don't have the network anymore. We have Peacock, but I'm assuming because of the international folk that may be in the Thunderdome as well, they show network commercials.
It's not too bad then. So it's like buy our stuff, buy T-shirts, buy championship belts, which for whatever reason they like pushing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
Which is what they would do in an arena anyway.
Right.
If you had a break, they would do something like that. Hey, don't forget to go to the merch table, or go this, that, or the other. So I mean that makes sense. But I mean, overall, how would you rate this experience having done it now compared to? I mean, obviously it's not going to compare to a live show, but how would you say this experience went overall for you? Would you do something like this again?
Absolutely. And I wish I had more time, or was able to get on and watch more of the show that way, because it's really a better way to watch the show, other than the idiot talking in your ear every now and then, giving you directions. Which if you ever gone to a television show like a sitcom or anything, or a talk show, they have an applause sign. They coach the crowd what to do. I've heard Impact would do that a lot at Universal.
Yeah. I remember because it used to come out before anything happened, wasn't it? They used to try and hype them up and say, when this guy comes out, we want you to cheer. When this guy comes out, we want you to boo. And they made it more kid friendly, didn't it?
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. But I'd rather watch the show through their feed, because, like I said, it's an easier watch. It's a better audio mix. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of cool to be part of the show. I'm not, I wasn't, everybody's calling me a mark for going into Thunderdome, and so I just wanted to check it out. I'm a mark for myself, so I want to see myself on television. That's really what
it's one of those.
Did they let you do the green? No, I was gonna say, did they let you do the green screen with the Rad Rob logo in the background?
Unfortunately, I can't, because it's a live podcast. I guess link or whatever. I don't have a program or anything through their server to put up anything behind me, so I wasn't able to do that. But I should have at least held up like an HMG sign, or
get a Conspiracy Horseman T-shirt going.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I if I get in it again, I'll definitely try to get away with it, because if they kick me out, they kick me out. I don't ever get into it, whatever. So maybe I'll try to get my shit in next time I get in there.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's something I was kind of want to bring up while we're talking about the Thunderdome. Is it seems like they're trying to tailor fans to respond in the way that they like, and it made me kind of think, because John, you had an experience trying to get tickets for Money in the Bank, and you were having to pay through the nose just to get tickets in the nosebleeds, which is something that's unfounded at this point in time. They're reopening, and we're looking at a company like WWE who are really keen to get, well, they claim to say they're keen to get fans back in the arenas, but then here they are trying to coach fans on the Thunderdome to respond in a specific way, and then they're asking fans to pay over and above what they would normally do for regular seats for a main event. So it made me kind of wonder where the sincerity of that is. Okay, we want fans here, but you want to pay. I mean, this is the same company that have, they've spent a lot of time the past month cutting employees, wrestlers, trying to make money deals. Nick Khan started to make appearances out of nowhere. We'll talk about the New Japan deal in a wee minute. There's more effort being done to try and keep money or make more money. That why go through the hassle of charging fans more? Why not just let them back, like you say? You want them back, so what's the problem? Hello?
They have good stories,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
They would have good stories. They would, if they cared about the fans at all, it would be something that they would emphasize. But they don't. I mean, if you're going to pay, $150 for, granted, I understand it's Money in the Bank. It's a pretty big pay-per-view, but $150 for nosebleed seats, through Ticketmaster, when I went and clicked the link, I mean, that thing was it was barely sold at that point when I checked. And this was the day after tickets went on sale. So I looked on Thursday.
Yeah.
And, I was like, well, let me look at nosebleed, because, that'll be fun. $150. I'm going, are you kidding me right now about this? No. I mean, granted, I know.
Were they resale tickets?
No, this is through Ticketmaster, through the WWE link on Facebook.
No, I know, but sometimes if people buy tickets on Ticketmaster, they can put them back on sale, and it would let you know if it was a resale or not.
No, the lowest price you could get was $150.
Wow.
The lowest. Yeah, no, like that was the lowest. You could pick your price of how low you want to go. I picked the lowest price, and the lowest price was $150.
Because it used to be like 25. It used to be 25, I think, for Raw and SmackDown, and maybe
Raw
maybe 50,
was,
I think.
Yeah, Raw is 26 the next day at the AAC, which is in Dallas. But this is, I guess, because this is a pay-per-view, I guess, so that's why they're valuing it so high, I guess. But
they've never done that before.
Yeah.
They haven't done that before.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. So, I mean, for a pay-per-view, I get it. It's a pay-per-view. But I've been to pay-per-view. There was a pay-per-view in Dallas a while back, a long time ago, a few years ago, where I remember the Undertaker got buried because there was a whole thing where he got buried, but the way we were situated, we could see him come out the back end of the thing, of where he got buried. So you saw him roll out, kind of thing. And we laughed about that. We were in the nosebleeds. And I mean, I think we maybe paid $40-$50 for those nosebleed seats for that pay-per-view. Whenever that was a while back, like I want to say 03, 04, somewhere in there. It was a pay-per-view in Dallas. And so, granted, I understand inflation and everything, but $150 for nosebleeds through Ticketmaster, I was just, that was ridiculous. And to me, it goes to prove once again that WWE doesn't really care about the fans. Really at the end of the day, they care about the fans who want to pay money. And they know people are going to do it because they're clamoring to get something live, and they want to do something live. But I mean, I can't afford $150. If I get tickets for me and my son, that's $300, not including all the fees and everything Ticketmaster is going to cost me, and that's going to be, that's easily 2 to maybe even 3 months of my electric bill, of what I would what I pay for my electric bill and water for a month, so that would cover 2 of those, and I'm like, okay, well, do I want to keep my lights on, or do I want to pay for pay-per-view tickets? And so, even though it's only a 30-minute-ish drive from my house, to me, it's not worth it. I'll just go to somebody's house and watch who has the network, and I'll watch that if I really, really want to watch. But, at that point, who knows what the story's going to be, and I'm maybe not going to want to watch by then.
Big hello to Gavin Wolf. Oh.
But AEW is the same way.
Absolutely. This is a kind of consequence of reopening again as well, isn't it? For that, there, they know they can. Yeah. I mean, there's like a knowingness to do this because they know they're not gonna not have fans come in. Like a lot of what's going on is directed to people with money. They don't want just any fan. They want the mega fans. They want the fans that will follow the company blindly to get into this. Like we talk about the Thunderdome thing. Those are a lot of people are going to be on there. They don't mind being coached because they're, not all of them, but you'll see a lot of fans are like, yeah, I love WWE. I love being a part of it. I watch it religiously. I love the characters. I love this. I don't follow. You get people who don't really follow people like us or the dirt sheets or other companies like that. They don't follow them. They just watch the product and enjoy it. And those are the people they want because they can mold them and they can shape them in their own image. And now financially, they're like, all right, guys, if you want to make a noise, if you want to do this or that, you want to chant CM Punk in the crowd, you want to boo the good guys, you want to cheer the bad guys, you have to pay for it now. Sorry, guys. It's like how much willingness are they got from fans? Like how much goodwill have they got from fans as well that they can get away with this?
I mean, I think that's the point. Is like Rob, if you could have sat through the whole show and been on there, but you had to deal with the coaching and the producing and all that, is that something you would have sat through to deal with all that?
That's a good question because I only experienced a small, taste of it in the last 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know. Like I heard that one command, when Mysterio came out. So I don't know what they were saying, during the rest of the show. If it was really, really heavy on the crowd producing part, then yeah, that might get a little bit old after a while. So that's a good question. That's why I would like to get in it again, maybe to see if I can get in there for a little bit longer time. Because there are some people that you'll see on the screen for the entire show. For maybe they were just, testing me out to see if I was a good fan or not. And they only gave me a half hour, but we'll see. They send me every week for Raw and SmackDown. I record my other podcast on Monday night, so I'm not able to get in during Raw, and I haven't received an invite for Money in the Bank. Or no, I did receive an invite for Money in the Bank. They sent it out about a week and a half ago, and I tried to get on, and it was full. But I'll definitely try to get on SmackDown again next week because my Fridays.
So are they going to do?
So yeah, I'm interested to see.
Oh, sorry, yeah. No, I was going to say, are they going to do a mixture of fans and the Thunderdome for Money in the Bank then?
That is actually no. Well, yeah.
Just when you mentioned you got the invite for it, so that would be
no.
Is it fully live?
Show. It's a live show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was for what was the last event?
Oh, Backlash.
WrestleMania Backlash. That's what it was. I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my fault. Yeah, I tried to get in that, and that was full. So yeah, you're right. They won't obviously do it for Money in the Bank because they won't have screens anymore. So the Thunderdome will be coming to an end. Once they start going back on the road.
Man, it's gonna be.
I think they said it's 25 city tour starting in Texas. So that Friday night SmackDown before Money in the Bank is the first one in Houston. So, but they haven't said where else yet. Which is interesting. They've only said Texas.
A friend of mine that lives in Arkansas, around Little Rock area, said that they're advertising for a show out there. He didn't tell me what date. I think it might have been August. But yeah, they're definitely there's definitely local promotion going on.
Yeah, big hello to Cam Wilfers. He's made a quite good comment there. He said WWE should consider adding fan screens. That's not bad actually. When you can have a mixture of the two. We're not in a fully open situation yet. We're not straight back to normal, but a good kind of in between. Like you can have fans on one bit and then have the Thunderdome section right next to the stage if you could, and have them both there. That would be a good idea. I quite like the idea of that. I mean, get best of both worlds. Yeah.
That's a really good idea. If they had time to set that up and get it back down, because you remember if they're going on tour, they got to get that stage and everything up quick and get it down quick so they can hit the next town. So, but for places that aren't as open as others, I guess that would be a great thing to do instead of tarping off rows and rows of seats that looks like crap on TV.
It'd be a good investment anyway. But as you say, it'd be a lot of work.
I mean, you got to figure, that's why they're starting in Texas. They're Houston on SmackDown. And then, the drive from Houston to Dallas-Fort Worth is not easy. It's a pain in the butt because there's always construction and all that. And so, but you've got a couple of days until Sunday. So you got Friday to Sunday. And then you go Sunday to Monday, which is, to go to Dallas to Fort Worth. Sure, that's only 30 minutes. But if you ever try, it took me 2 hours to get out of the Metroplex yesterday before I was even on the road to get to my parents' house, which is normally a 2 hour, 2.5 hour drive. And it took me 3 hours and 15 minutes. And I was stuck in the Metroplex running 20 for over 2 hours just to go from Weatherford to the edge of Fort Worth, which is the Garland, Terrell area over there. So it's not easy. You're going to have to be doing, and then that's a hustle to get, that stage tore down and then set up the next day for Raw. So, the idea that is a good idea, but I think it's not feasible because of really, how do you set up TVs and seats and everything along those lines to make it work when you're promoting live shows, and that's just not going to work, I think, in the long run. So, but I know, Rob, you said you had a hard out, so it's 11:31. I guess we need to let you go.
Yes, I do have to bounce, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I'd love to come on when I have more time to talk more with you guys because I haven't done a lot with Mikhail.
Oh no, I would absolutely love to get you on properly for a full episode together and do a bit more for that. You're invited anytime. If you want to jump on, you just let us know and we'll get you on right away. That's not a problem at all. We'd love to get you back on at some point for that.
I appreciate that. And I do want to plug that John Enright will be on RTW Rewind coming up next week. We're discussing Top Gun Then and Now. As you know, the new Top Gun movie that's been delayed because of COVID is coming out next month. So John and I will be talking about all things Top Gun. That'll be on Hameen Media Group YouTube page right here. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, and the podcast form will drop on the affiliate feed Sunday mornings. So I'm looking forward to that. And McIver, anytime you want to come on the show as well, on my show,
I would absolutely love that.
I don't know much about your culture, so
Doctor Who, make it Doctor Who.
Oh, Doctor Who.
No, please God, please God.
I'm sure we'll come up with something cool. I'm sure we'll come up with a good episode.
But, yeah. I always let the guests pick the topics. So anytime, if I can, there's a lot of people that are clamoring to get in the show now, and that's a shoot, brother. So people are loving the new format that we've expanded to all retro, not just wrestling, but retro everything. So if I can fit you into my busy schedule, my Scottish friend, I will
absolutely.
And don't you have a T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, and they're having a sale this weekend, right? Isn't that the case?
Yes, they are. Thank you, John, for mentioning that. I wasn't going to try to get all my shit in here, even though Ben
get it all in.
Week.
Get it in.
Fine. He is the boss. But yeah, guys, ProWrestlingTees.com/Rad Turtles Wrestling. I have several shirts on sale, including the new RTW Rewind Retro that you see behind me. Use the promo code Memorial when you check out for 20% off. And that's 20% off for everything as well, too. So check out all the great shirts we have for HMG, Stevie Richards, the Man Beast. I don't want to leave anybody out. ProWrestlingTees.com/Benjamin. Yalla. Yeah, we got so much fun stuff. And obviously, you guys know with the Realm purchase, we'll be merging with the brand. So we have lots of good stuff coming up here in the next few months. Once we figure all that out, we're going to have much, much more content for you. Media Group, which is where you could find for audio until we get all that straightened out. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you having me on. You guys can follow me on Twitter at that's it. It's about you guys. So I did enough of that last week. Appreciate you guys having me on. My wife's giving me the Iggies, so she gave me the go home cue. So
thank you so much. Always a pleasure, never a chore, sir. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us for the day.
All right, guys. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Later.
See you.
Well. Okay, so that was Rad Rob. Always great to have him on. I was quite looking forward to chatting. I've not actually spoken to Rad Rob prior to doing any of this. So what I'll do is I'm going to just do a bit of shooting here because my screen's going to go a bit funny for a while. But yeah, it's nice to kind of get things back in order. We're looking at Smackdown and all these things. But before we talk about Smackdown, there was something I was wanting to talk to you about. Because of your knowledge in New Japan, because of your relation with the Destino podcast with Jago, WWE rumored to be working in cahoots with New Japan. That's a surprise. You know, the Forbidden Door we've been talking about for weeks now because of AEW and Impact and their relationships, and now WWE's want to get in on the action quietly, just making little motions. Although I don't think it's. To me, the deal doesn't seem as big as what it sounds initially. If you said WWE and New Japan having a working relationship, you'd think potential working relationship. Sorry, you think big. You could get big names on WWE shows and big names going across New Japan. But when you get through the nuts and bolts of it, it seems like it's just a keep everyone happy exercise. Keep everyone in.
Yeah. You know, I read somewhere that there's talk of like Charlotte and Daniel Bryan who are interested in going over to Japan. But let's be honest, WWE has been eyeballing New Japan territory and Japanese territory forever. You know, they've been, they tried to buy this company and that company to get their foot in the door to make NXT next step. NXT Japan, and if they can show that they can with this is that thing. They couldn't buy a company. So they're going to show we can work with a company like the biggest one in New Japan. We can work with them. Then we can get our foot in the door with doing Indiana. Because, hey, look, Daniel Bryan's coming over, Charlotte Flair's coming over, these kinds of stuff. And then that means, Tanahashi. Things like that. Jay White, you'll see different people coming over. And F in the chat for Will Ospreay, by the way.
Oh man!
I mean,
his neck is no good shape. No shape.
What? And then he announced this week that his back is just in the same his lower back is in the same shape as his neck. When they look this week, so I mean that dude. Good Lord, it's hard to not say that dude's career might not be done. I mean. As much as I don't want to say that, but God, I mean, I was at the G1 in Dallas when Lance put him through a table, and that looked gnarly because it was a Japanese table. It wasn't one of those US tables.
Solid.
And Lance put him through that. Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, it was just I mean, it looked gnarly. And I mean, I've got a picture of it where Lance has just finished choking him, and Will is looking up, but Will looks doozy. Like, he looks like he got knocked out. I mean, he just kind of got his eyes open going, like, wide-eyed, going, what just happened kind of thing.
Deer in the headlights.
So, you know, yeah, and I mean, and if you watch that, he took that, you know, kind of that neck, shoulder area first, you know, and so, whew, you know, it's not a surprise in the sense that they had long time. The surprise would be New Japan went to work with WWE, industry. That, you know, WWE's tried this before. They tried it with All Japan with Inoki and Baba, and, you know, and never really got it to stick and take hold.
Yeah.
And so it's really going to be interesting to see what they propose. Because let's be honest, even though WWE thinks they're coming from a place of strength, it's really New Japan who's coming from a place of strength, because New Japan is the power and the foothold in Japan. Yeah, if they need to. And so it's really, what is WWE going to bring to the table for New Japan? And the only thing that New Japan can do for WWE is about that Japanese territory. What WWE brings to New Japan is global recognition, even more so now, you know, to make them probably the number 2 company in the world, you know, not just, you know, great ever. So, you know, this is where you have to kind of really look at this going, okay, this is interesting, but who's in the position of strength here? Because that's the whole point of a negotiation when you deal with companies like this, is who's got the strength. And if you look at it honestly, New Japan's got the strength because WWE's coming to them because they won in Japan. But in hindsight, what's that going to do for, you know, having that worldwide audience and that, you know, recognition, and having that, you know, being able to get your stars on a bigger platform, you know, and you're doing it through WWE TV, which is well produced. I mean, say what you will about the story writing, but the production aspect is just over the top. You know, and New Japan's isn't, but WWE is a whole nother level, you know, and so it's just one of those things where I think if it goes anywhere, it's going to be, what does WWE do for New Japan? And all New Japan is doing is opening the territory for WWE. That's really all.
Yeah.
So,
it seems like it's,
you know, personally, I don't want to see.
Yeah.
You know, that's just me.
I know. My worry is that similar to yours, where they're going to get these, WWE will get this trade, they'll get to bring in talents, and they'll go straight to NXT. Because that's how WWE would see them. They don't see them as like top names. I mean, even Nakamura, when he was at his peak almost, had to go through NXT for a couple of years before he got to the main roster. Like, I can't see someone like Okada dodging that. You know, I can't see that being the case. Maybe Jay White could slip through the net. That's maybe the only one I could think of that could get by.
Well, I would say Okada, because Okada's got American TV experience. Because remember, he was at Impact and he did Leonard from Russo. And I think of anybody, Okada is probably the most TV ready, being that I mean, if you ever watch a match, he's really on point with where the cameras are and how things work, and he's got that charisma. And I think maybe Okada, Tanahashi would be able to just go straight to the main roster, and then maybe Jay White. Jay might be, just because he's English speaking and would be able to pull that off. Could you
imagine Okada versus Seth Rollins? That, oh, chef kiss. Give me that. That'd be incredible.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. So I mean, I asked the question because becomes now, okay, then what matches do you want to see? What WWE guy versus what New Japan guy? And I mean, you've got to have Daniel Bryan there somewhere with somebody, right? I mean, you know, and I mean, to me, I would love Daniel Bryan versus Minoru Suzuki. You know, that would be just a banger of a match right there to watch something like that.
But I suppose the only thing with that is if Daniel Bryan's still there. That's a huge caveat that we're looking at this weekend, where there's rumors that he could be in Vegas. He could be there for Double or Nothing. It's not Vegas, is it? It's Jacksonville still. He could be there. Maybe not. Probably not. You know, I don't think WWE would let him go so easy. But there's a lot of potential there that they could get him in.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they do have him, that's the match to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because we're seeing New Japan toss their talents everywhere. Because I don't know if you knew this, but on Impact this week, Kojima showed up. Because Eric Young was their Violent by Design thing, and they have Joe Doring in there, and he walks up to Joe Doring, and he's like, and basically he just said a phrase in English, and I don't even remember what it was, but it was just like, oh, hey, there's Kojima, holy cow, I mean, he's looking jacked and all New Japan daddy, and just walked in and put his finger in the face of Joe Doring, is like, whatever it takes, or nothing's something along those lines, and walks out, and that's his idea of offering a match. So we see that we see Ren Narita on AEW Dark, getting a win, on AEW Dark. Even though he's I guess excursion young lion, wearing the black trunks and everything, he gets a win. So you're seeing lots of different things with New Japan. They're not afraid to share the wealth with anybody. So maybe this is just something where, even though they have a deal with with WWE, they're still going to let their guys go wherever they want. Maybe they're just opening the door to once again use other companies to build their international brand. And it doesn't hurt New Japan at all to have Kojima on Impact, and to have Ren Narita on AEW, and have guy fought boxing. Why am I Yuji Nagata?
Yeah.
I mean, on team. I mean, to have Yuji Nagata, watching him again. I mean, it does brand globally, so I wouldn't even be surprised if it's something more. Keep doing ours with AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, which Ring of Honor really hasn't had many people come in from there yet, but we've had Ring of Honor guys on New Japan. Yeah. So I mean, it's me. This is New Japan thinking strategically and globally, and using other companies to help get their brand across. Say, oh look, this is so and so from New Japan. People are perking. What?
Yeah, like they're free to open their stall.
When I saw, yeah. I mean, I look. I mean, I saw it on YouTube. I was like, Impact's thing, and it was like, wait, what? Kojima was on Impact? Holy cow! I got to see this. So I watched the video of Kojima, coming out on Impact to challenge Joe Doring. I mean, and they did a good job of getting him over. The announcers, this is the only guy to hold the All Japan and New Japan titles, and just going over his history of who he is, and to make it to where, like, this is a big deal, that he's here at Impact. And it only makes New Japan look better, so I like it. I think it's a good thing overall. I don't think it's going to be as intrusive with WWE, like trying to buy Noah or anything along those lines. I think it's just going to be more, we're going to start exchanging talent, and but New Japan's going to be like, okay, cool, but we'll give you these talents and we want these, but we're still going to give our other talent to other places, because we have that opportunity. So that's more where I see everything going, because once again, New Japan, WWE wants to be in Japan more than New Japan wants to use WWE to get out there in the world, because they're doing it with everybody else, so.
Yeah. Ultimately, it can only go, surely only can go New Japan's way. Like, WWE aren't getting the better of this deal whatsoever if it happens.
No.
But fair play to them for trying something as well. Like I said, I kind of went a bit hard on Nick Khan earlier, saying that he's spending all this time trying to sack people and save money, but he's also been a little bit more progressive in promotions as well recently. We've got the Peacock deal that happened that is made somewhat controversial, but then you've got the New Japan thing that's coming on. Some of the plans that they've got coming forward for like Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. Like SummerSlam's looking to be in a big stadium this year, which is fantastic. So they are getting some work done, which is things we've never seen before. And maybe this is.
But is this the lead into selling the company?
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say.
I mean, we see reducing staff and, being more budgetary in your costs and being more aggressive in your promoting to make it look like you are what you are. And in turn, someone comes in and buys it. Amazon, boy, would Amazon love to have something like that on their platform. There's talk they just bought MGM, who has the James Bond franchise.
So the only,
hey, if if that's the case, I'm for it because I love James Bond. You know, so I'm
my
good
only
with
thing
that.
with like someone like Amazon taking it over would be that, you know, there's a lot of baggage that comes with it. You know, you buy WWE, but you just can't just get it all on your network because you have to have the USA deal, the Fox deals on the TV shows, NBC with Peacock. You've got that deal to go through. You've got to kind of wade through all of that. I mean, I don't think anyone would complain if someone else got the network and revived it as the network as it once was, rather than being reduced to rubble as we're seeing it at the moment. But that's very like prosperous for them. Like you're not just buying the company, you're buying billions of investment from TV companies. If you can pull this off really well, I mean, you're probably paying, what was it, $5 billion for Raw that they got just for a show, and then it was and
it was a
$3 for SmackDown, so $8 billion just from being on TV, and that's not like including the rights, the company, the people that are in there, the offices.
And just think of the library. Just think of the library. The library you got from Mid-South and, just all the different territories of the libraries of stuff that you got. And, you know what I mean? In WCW, you've got all those libraries of class that, dude, you could do a weekly show and just, hey, we want to do a retro rewind on wrestling. And watch. We're going to go through 1986 in Mid-South, which is, I don't know, it's on my brain because that's what Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson, they're going through 1986 for WCW. But still, like, you could do something like that. You could have a weekly show on every territory. You could make programming on programming if you wanted to, and be the ESPN of wrestling. If you really, really, really wanted to, if you want to be the ESPN of wrestling, somebody could buy WWE. And just, really start consolidating stuff and making it an ESPN type, thing.
100%.
So, who knows? But maybe that's the whole goal. Maybe Vince is like, I don't want this to be in the family anymore. I want to get out, and I'm just clearing the stuff up so it's attractive for somebody to want to buy.
What a way to get out, though.
I don't know.
Like, to me, off the top of my head, if I was to put like a figure down of how much it's going to cost, I would say at least $50 billion. At least 50.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Vince McMahon and you say 50 billion, maybe not. I'm not him. I mean, if someone turned around and say, "I'll buy your business for $50 billion," have it. I'm off to buy an island. Fuck yous. I'm off. I would be happy. I'd be well chuffed with that. And would that that carrot dangled in front of him, would that be enough for him to sell it? I mean, this is a man who's invested crazy money in the XFL of all things. So.
Mm-hmm. But then he could do whatever he wanted. That's the whole thing. With $50 billion, that's generational money, and you could still do whatever you want. So maybe he decides he wants to, do something different. He wants to do another football league, or he wants to do something. I mean, and that's the thing, though. He's 72, 74, something like that. He's in his 70s. He's getting up there. I mean, does he want to continue dealing with people complaining about his shows and complaining about how he does things and all that? I mean, at some point, granted, you've been doing it for 50-something years now. You gotta at some point go, okay, I'm just getting tired. Yeah, I'm just getting tired of hearing all this and being blamed for all this. You don't appreciate me till I'm gone, kind of thing. And so, I don't know. The future is, it's going to be interesting to see 5 years from now when we look back on this and go, this was the start of whatever 5 years from now the WWE looks like.
Yeah.
So, I'm interested to see where this path goes. But I guess we should talk about SmackDown. Partially because I'm at the lake, in case y'all didn't notice.
Yeah.
And I do have family stuff.
So we should get stuck into it then.
Yeah, because my girlfriend's about to show up. She drove over from the DFW area to be here this weekend.
Nice. So we're on the clock again. We had to keep the clock with Rob. Never got the clock with you.
We're on the clock.
Great. This is what we like. We're doing it live. Right, let's just get straight into it. If you're watching live on YouTube, we'd love to hear from you as we're Vince McMahon 2024. Oh, I told about that. That's a scary prospect right there. Oh boy.
50 billion is not going to do enough. Not enough to get you started.
That'd be a fun campaign, I'll tell you that for now.
It would be, though. It would be.
But yeah, if anyone, like, if you're watching this live, you're on the comment section, get involved. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear your opinions as we go through this entire review of SmackDown. Not a lot to talk about, believe it or not. I thought it was a really good show, but in terms of talking points, quite concise. Quite a concise SmackDown.
It's the talking points are all on the front end. I wonder if that was because they figured AEW was going to be on the back end and they were going to have to, cross program AEW.
Yeah.
I don't know. I watched a little bit of the Light the Fuse show this morning to kind of see what they talked about and how that worked. But, I know that was because I showed up late last night. I watched a little bit of SmackDown when I got here at the lake. But, I spent time with my mom, my dad, and dinner and stuff like that. And then I caught a little bit of AEW after. But, it was interesting because there was points where I was slipping back and forth, because, partially I have a loyalty to AEW because of Lance Archer, being a friend and fellow Texan, and also Academy podcast guest on the show. So there's a tenderness towards that. But, at the most part too, it was as the show was going, as it went along, I found myself wanting to go to AEW because, of course, they have the hotter start because they're programming on the back half of WWE.
And they've got pay-per-view coming up on Sunday.
That's how I felt. Yeah, of course, because they got preempted because of basketball. Playoffs are happening, so that's why they didn't have their regular Wednesday night show, and so they forced them to program on to do that. But it's interesting because their ratings have been so. SmackDowns, I wouldn't say have been great, but last week it was 1.93 million last week, and the question becomes: is there any way AEW comes close to that? And so I went looking this morning, and so far there's nothing yet. But last week's SmackDown brought a 1.93 million rating, which isn't terrible for a Friday night. And so I'll be interested to see how the ratings stack up against each other.
1.93 would suggest to me that AEW took a few, like yourself, they took a few of the fan base with them for that one, which is good for them.
Well, that was last week.
Oh, no, last week.
That was not this. That was last week. So I don't know about this week. So we'll see. I think that's when those ratings haven't come out yet. That's what I was saying. I was looking this morning. That was last week's rating for SmackDown up against basketball. Because SmackDown was against basketball last week, so that was a big puller for it. That's why it was a little bit down at 1.93. But I'll be interested to see this week if AEW puts a dent in SmackDown or not. Because if it was a regular Friday night and I was at home, I wouldn't watch AEW because I don't have cable. So it's on free TV for me, so I'll watch that. But it just so happened that last night I was here, at my parents' house, so I could watch both because they have cable. So, but anyway, great start to the show. I'm not gonna lie, I love this opening with Jimmy and Jay, and they're just doing their thing, and then Roman pops in. This is I think what you and I have been saying. Hey, let's do some more. The whatever. And they did that. They came out, Jimmy and Jay, they're all excited, and then Roman slides in, and they're kind of going, okay, what's the plan? And, what's this deal? And, and Jimmy feels like, a lot of this whole, Shakespeare family dynamic kind of thing. And then, Jimmy goes out thinking everything's good. Jay's kind of like, oh, I don't know. And, and stuff like that. So the story continues, with Jay being in the middle, and looking like the beaten, abused dog that he is. Like the only reason why he's with Roman is because he's afraid of what Roman's going to do to him. And then in turn, Jimmy's trying to hype him up, and he's like, "Well, I know Jimmy's going to take care of me because he's my brother, but I'm afraid of what Roman's going to do to me because he's done that." And so it's all been very good. It's all been very good. That whole story, coming out and starting the show, and then of course. I don't. Once again, I love the Street Profits. I don't mind them on the mic at all, and I like that Jimmy and Jay got on there with them. And they just went toe to toe with each other. Boy, what a great promo between those two. Really, so good. They were so good. They were so good. Yeah, that's all I can say. It was
You know
so
what
good.
this weirdly reminded me of? The Usos and New Day when they had their feud. And just something clicked. Something about everything they did in the ring, on the mic, it clicked. And you get it here. They just click so well. And it was like, I could watch this for a few months. I'd be absolutely on board with this.
Great. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, with the whole idea is if the Usos win this match, they get a shot at the titles. You know, I mean, which is all right. Okay, you know, I mean, they are deserving. They're 6-time champs. You know, I mean, I like that the Street Profits put 6-time champs, but you know, this is our deal, and you know, I like Montez Ford doing the Uso, you know, like, kind of do a little bit of that. He did it in the match too, when he had, I think, Jimmy or Jay in an armbar or something like that, and he looks at the other one and goes, Uso, you know. I mean, that dude just drips charisma like nobody's business. Yeah. I mean, good Lord, he's so talented.
Set for life in that company.
Oh, he is. You know, I mean, just the whole thing was so good. The match, good Lord, this match was. I could have watched this.
We did not
long.
deserve this on free TV. We did not deserve this on free TV.
So amazing. Freaking Montez Ford clearing the turnbuckle.
What was that? It was just because he looks like he's just going to kick him. And that's the camera's angled and set up like he's going to kick him in the stomach. Well, I think it was Jimmy that was on the ropes, wasn't it? And
because Jay was on the outside over the.
And he starts running up as if he is. And then the last few steps, it just speeds up and just launches. And everyone's just like, whoa! And like even Michael Cole and like and Pat McAfee's like, going, what's going on? And I was watching this like half asleep in the morning when I woke up, and then I was just stunned. And it's so graceful as well. There's no kind of it looks effortless. It really does look effortless. You see people who do the wee, you know, they do like a little jump and then push themselves off like a gymnast would do. No, this is on stride. He is just, as he strides, leaps, and he's away. There's no prep time. There's no nothing. And he does it like it's nothing. And I'm sitting there going, could you imagine if he just fluffed it just a little bit and he's not even bothered at that point? He's hitting
that turnbuckle in that video post. I mean, and that's going to be nasty. You know, that's someone nasty. But like that dude.
That's a man who knows exactly what he's capable of.
Yeah, and Jay, and then Jay being there to kind of, because I mean, he was almost to the wall there.
I wonder if he even knew,
because Jay was over there. Jay, I mean, he was almost to that padded wall when he hit, you know, and Jay caught him, and you know, and hit that padded wall. But still, I mean, that is some ridiculousness that's going on right there. I mean, you can't tell me these guys aren't fun. Just, you know, the setting up for the frog splashes and just the frog splashes that he does. Even the missed one, it was still pretty. And, you know, and I loved having Jay save Jimmy from getting, you know, the frog splash. That was good. You know, the end sequence was great of Jay saves Jimmy from that frog splash, and then Jimmy super kicks him for the 1, 2, 3. But I mean, there were so many good false finishes in this match. It was that were believable, that were, you know, like, okay, you know, this makes sense. And like, there was a couple of times where I thought that maybe the Street Profits were going to pull it off, you know, but so how did you feel though about the Usos winning this?
I was totally fine with this. I was because to me, it seems like we're setting up the Usos beating the Mysterios to have the tag titles or something down those lines where it should be the Usos having the tag titles, but there's two ways this goes. They either win the tag titles and they are a unit together again, and then we have the whole thing with Roman Reigns, or they break up in that match. But like they're teasing at the moment. I don't think they would break them up. I think it'd be a really bad move if they broke them up.
Right.
But it just, to me, feels like I'm okay with this. I mean, the Street Profits can afford this moment right now. They'll bounce back. They'll have titles for as long as they want. If they keep performing the way they perform, they're good. They're absolutely cool hand look with me. They don't have to worry about a thing. The Usos, Jimmy's back. We need to get his momentum going a little bit again. We need to kind of show people what he's capable of the ring. He had that big good match with Cesaro. This was a good way to get keep the wheel turning a little bit. You know, we got Roman Reigns, and we see it later on as well. Roman Reigns stirring the pot. Just stirring the pot with these two, which I love to see. It's quite nice that we can take a break with him in a feud and have him just be the troublemaker in the Usos business, which is I'm very refreshing to see. We spend so much time in WWE TV where the focal point is the champion, and to a degree that is on Raw. They're really trying hard to keep the focal point on titles and champions. They've not really got a good, clear vision. But with SmackDown, it's clear to see their eyes on the prize with stories and matches, like the things, the sum of the parts, rather than just star, and then the rest sorts itself out. It's like, no, let's sort everything underneath the top of the card. So then when you get to the top of the card looks so much better because we've got a good product overall. And this card showed that off quite well. You know, there's some really good matches that we get into. But no, I quite like this. I quite like this little touch of having the Usos back on. We've seen them so many times that it's not. You maybe make the argument, them again, but it's a fresh dynamic. It's a different situation that we see ourselves in. The result's not a done deal.
It's been over a year.
Over a year.
I mean, it's been over a year since we've seen it. You know, so and this was Jimmy's second match. They said, he had that one a couple weeks ago against I forget who it was, maybe Cesaro or something like that. But he had the one match, and then now this is the one back with his brother for the tag teams. So, to me, it was a great way to start. It was a great way to come out and just, like you said, we did not deserve this match. This was an amazing match.
If it wasn't for AEW,
it was the
If it wasn't for AEW, this would be main event all day long. All day long, this would be the main event. But because
the problem is you had the tag titles at the end, so the titles are going to override this match.
I don't know about that one. I'll kind of.
I know.
I get the logic. I totally get that. But what you see at the end and what we got at the beginning, it's black. To me, it's black and white. It's just titles are fine, but bigger fish to fry in that one. But it was fantastic.
This is the highlight of the show. This was everybody saying, "Okay, follow this," which was funny because later on, Roman's talking to Jay, and he's like, "You were main event Jay, and now you're relegated to opening the show. You're closing SmackDown." And yet, he had a match. Him and Jimmy had a match that made everybody go, "Okay,
what's the show now?"
And nobody was going to follow that. Nobody was going to follow that. It was only downhill at this point.
Let's get this promo out of the way now since we're mentioning it. I love how Reigns just touched that little line at the end. It's like, look, I just don't want you to go back to the point where they're like, which one are you? I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a good line.
You could tell he's had it in the chamber. Yeah. It's like, in case of emergency, break line. And then it's boom. And it hit him.
Yeah. How about the start of this, though? Before Jay even comes in the room, Paul Heyman just comes in, my tribal chief. And then he walks out. That's all he does.
Tribal chief?
He just leans in, like he's going to give him a kiss on the cheek. And he's like, my tribal chief. And then walks out. And then here comes Jay. It's just, dude, Paul Heyman, I said it last week. I say it again every week. Worth the money, whatever you're paying him to keep it
Just keep him doing what he does. Because this is Heyman on the money train. He knows he's sorted for life on it. But this whole thing, and believe it or not, after the promo that Reigns and Jimmy and Jay have, we don't see any of this for the rest of the show, which is a bit of a change in dynamic. But again, I liked it because what we got was some good stuff. The next match came up, Natalya and Tamina versus the Riot Squad in a non-title match. Good women's match for me. You might disagree, I don't know, but I'm quite enjoying how Tamina and Natalya are looking good by, I don't know, wrestling apart or without a Reginald or some kind of nonsense going on.
Yeah.
It's just wrestling. Although you could say the Riot Squad maybe try to be a bit dirty, but I like that because you've got one team who are on this high. They're finally made it. They've finally got what they deserved after almost a decade. And then you've got the Riot Squad who are just scrambling. They're just racking their brains. Right? How are we fixing this? How can we fix this losing streak that we're on? We need to do something. And I thought it made for a really interesting match for people that you maybe not expect to put on a really good match. But I wouldn't say it's 10 out of 10, but
it wasn't bad. I'm not going to say it wasn't bad. I have a hard time believing Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan are going to be able to stand up to Natalya and Tamina. Because the size difference was just massive on that aspect of them. And then Natalya is just such a veteran. The other thing that started, which was a trend for the night. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but this is the first of 3 times where we're going to jump somebody before the match. Which became like, by the time it happened at the end of the night, I was like, really? We're doing this a 3rd time? Okay. Everything comes in 3s? Is that what we're saying? So, it was the girls did it. So, well, we're going to do it. They did it. So it must be fine, kind of thing. So I don't know. I did not, I thought it's smart on their part to take out Tamina. Because, at the beginning of the match, they're just working on Natalya. And, of course, she can't reach Tamina because Tamina is down because of jumping her. But that should have been it. Because it was a smart story that was Liv Morgan. This is their advantage. They're going to take the big powerhouse Tamina out and work on Natalya because they could probably handle that better, just being quick tags and doing things and everything like that. And Natalya can't go get that tag to get the help that she needs. So that was smart. But then we see it later with Shinsuke, and then we see it later with Dominic and Ray and the Dirty Dogs. And so it felt less than at that point, just kind of
the effect was gone.
When Ray and them did it, the effect was gone by the time Ray and them do it, and it's just kind of like, all right, great. The fact of the matter is, apparently you can just beat anybody up you want in WWE. Apparently, there's no big deal about it. You can just do whatever you want. So the match was fine. But they've done such a poor job with the Riot Squad that. Once again, no entrance. They just came. They were already in the ring. Natalya and Tamina come out, and it's like I from the moment I see that they're in the ring and Natalya and Tamina come out, I just
what's happening.
It's like, okay, this is just you know what's happening. And this is once again. I'm not saying that the match was bad. It's just. What have they done with the Riot Squad in the last year to make them feel like they're any kind of a threat to anybody in the tag division? And so they're just paying to be jobbers. They're just getting paid to be jobbers. And I want to see more for them. I want to see more for them. I guess that's my point is I want to see them turn around. I want to see this be a catalyst to turn them around and start doing something. But I don't see how they're going to do it because it's been so bad for so long. So, as much as I want to see it, I think they need a 3rd person to be that muscle. That's the problem. Is they're both small girls. They're not big, and they need that kind of powerhouse type person that they can have something with and do something with. That's why I like them with Sarah Rowe, because Sarah Rowe could insert with Ruby Riott or Liv Morgan, and Sarah Rowe was kind of the powerhouse, even though she wasn't like tall big. She
played the role quite well.
I don't know if you've seen her on Instagram or whatever when she did. Yeah, she did. Was she different? Yeah, but she played that muscle role well, and you're able to insert her in there with those kind of things, and it fit. It made sense that you need somebody like that, and it just doesn't work out the same way with just those two. So I don't know, but it was a match. I was like, okay, cool, great. Let's there was nothing egregious that stuck out to me, no botches or anything like, okay. There was a moment where Tamina was kind of waiting on Liv Morgan for, and to because Liv was going to do some kind of head scissors or something like that. Or maybe it was Ruby. I can't remember because, once again, I was just kind of in and out with it. But, where it was a little slow, you're just like, you see Tamina waiting on the other person, because Tamina was in position, that other person was taking their time to get there. And so, but, for the most part, it was what it was. It was the whole point was to get Tamina and Natalya over as champs, and that's what they did. It was
like the minimal storytelling you tried with the Riot Squad. I know they had an idea, but they just didn't execute well because they just had they had the attack at the beginning, and then the weird moment where they were trying to compose themselves and refocus mid match. It was like okay, and then that was it. Although I did like the finish. I really did like the finish where Tamina's on the top rope. You think she's about to hit the splash, and then she headbutts Ruby Riott, and Riott sells it like she's dead. And I was like, whoa, that looked so good. And then obviously got the finish. It was good. It got a good finish for that. Well done.
Yeah.
But we'll move.
Right. Because you don't headbutt a Samoan. Remember that, James. You never headbutt.
Many people have tried and failed. It's not a good game to play. We'll do a quick hop over. The tag title match is confirmed for next week. Jimmy Uso was absolutely buzzing about it. And then we get to the next match, Bianca Belair versus Carmella. And I suppose what I want to talk about in this one is Bayley. And I love Bayley. I love her character and all that. But now I'm getting to the stage where she's starting to turn into a bit of a nuisance. And maybe not for the best. You know, she grabbed the chair, grabbed the mic and all that stuff. And she was there to watch the match and all this stuff. And then it was a good enough match. You know, Bianca Belair and Carmella, they do quite well. But it's the stuff at the end where Belair wins. And then Bayley's just sitting there laughing. And I'm just kind of like...
Yeah.
What?
Well, it was, I think the whole point of it was the commentary. Because if you listen to the commentary, the whole point was Bayley kept talking about the hair. And so it's got to be, they're probably going to do some kind of hair versus hair or hair versus something build-up match. Because this has been Bayley's whole point the whole time, was that the hair was an illegal weapon and that she cheats with the hair and et cetera, et cetera. And so it's almost like this that was the whole purpose of this, her being at commentary, was she talked about it the whole time. You know, and it's like, oh, and then and of course, then she cheats with her hair, or why she's going to cheat with her hair this month, and she doesn't. But the whole point was Bayley is annoyed with, you know, being a heel, that she couldn't beat her straight up. She had to cheat with her hair. And so I think it's almost like they're building to that. Could we get a women's hair versus hair match? You know, which we haven't seen in a long time. I think the last one was Victoria and Molly Holly.
Yeah.
Right? When they butchered Molly Holly's hair.
That's how we're going to lose. That's how we're going to lose the braid this way, or Bayley's hair. Oh boy, tough.
Or Bayley's
gig.
hair. Yeah, we could.
I don't know if I'd want to do either, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just
hey, if it throws a few extra zeros in your check for that week, you know, it might be worth it. You know, I put my hair on the line for that. But you know, I think that was the more purpose of it, is they're using this match. You know, once again, Carmella, former champ, but what have they done with her lately? You know, they've stopped and started her so many times. It's almost like now she's back to that, a mix between the Carmella and the bougie thing that she was doing, but, you know, making her look like a stripper with this whole silhouette dancing thing, and then it drops, and then she's in the whatever outfit.
I'm not complaining about it, man.
She just looks like a... I mean...
I'm alright, lads. I'm alright, lads.
I mean, I'm okay with it, but still, at the same time, if you're looking at it as a wrestling standpoint, you know, it's kind of like, all right, so she's kind of a stripper who, you know, is also a wrestler. Cool.
I'm cool with that.
Take that.
That's your business, man. That's what I'm here for. I mean,
yeah. So, but you know, same thing. It goes back to the Riot Squad, where they haven't done anything with them. They tried to do the Billie Kay thing, and they sacked Billie Kay right after they set her up with her. You know, I mean, they did the original thing, but then they pulled that off of her. They've tried to do so much with her, you know, with this whole restart thing, and it hasn't worked. And so they haven't done anything with her in the last few months. And so it's same idea. You're not getting anything when the bell rang. I was like, okay, this is really about Bayley being out there. This is not about Carmella at all. Carmella was the after fact. It wasn't the reason why she was out there, and which is sad, because I mean, let's be honest, Carmella is, you know, she's gotten to be a pretty decent wrestler, but you know, the sad part is that it wasn't about her. It was about Bayley and getting the hair thing up. That was really
she was just a
really
sort of kind of stand-in for this matter. Something I want to it just got popped in my head that I maybe want to talk to you about a little bit here is we've not seen much of Sasha Banks. The women's division as a whole right now doesn't look great. You know, we've got Bayley, Carmella's treading water, the rest are in the tag division. Is this kind of leading to SummerSlam where we're going to get the rematch between Bayley and Sasha? Because it just seems like they're trying to just kind of get this over the line to July, and then we're on again. You know, we've got Hell in a Cell coming up in a few weeks, then it's Money in the Bank, and then it's straight into SummerSlam. Do you think they're trying their best to get over that line? I mean, because they could just have Money in the Bank as a Money in the Bank match. They don't have to have Bianca Belair there. Or
you know, I mean, but you know, they're probably going to build a match. You know, you're going to want to probably build a match because you're going to have the women's Money in the Bank. You're going to have the men's Money in the Bank. But at the same time, too, you're going to want titles because it's a live show. You know, I mean, this is, you know, your first pay-per-view live show You've had it over a year. So you're going to want your big stars there in your titles. So you're going to have Bianca there. I can see this Money in the Bank being a big show because they're going to do probably try to get as many titles as they can, as well as the Money in the Bank matches.
They'll be wanting some surprises in there as well.
And because it's the first live show, so you want that pop. So who you're going to get in the Money in the Bank matches? Who's going to be in those ladder matches? And then, of course, you got to have your women's title for both shows on. You got to have your men's titles for both shows on. One would argue that you at least need to have one of your men's titles on for the show and one of your females. And that's going to be a long show already. And then you have the Money in the Bank matches. But it's a live show. You've got people there. You want that noise and that pop. I could see them holding off, but what good does it do? You're not building. You're forgetting Sasha Banks. You're not building anything right now if she's not involved. We're into June now. That's Money in the Bank is mid-July. So you've got a month and a half here. Let's start building. This is the time to start stepping on the gas, not leaving and forgetting people.
Yeah,
from
but suppose the problem with that's Hell in a Cell in the middle. They've always had this sort of issue with a big pay-per-view coming up and then have one in the way, and then they've got to try and just go over that line. And then we've seen it. We saw it with WrestleMania this year. They had to get past Fastlane, and it was full steam ahead. They overbook themselves so bad. It's like you don't need especially when they're like in an era like this where they could have got away with not having many pay-per-views because they've not got anyone in the audience. Yeah. But they still kind of stuck with this one.
Yeah, but I could see Hell in a Cell being. You could even say Hell in a Cell could be a kickoff for maybe bringing Sasha Banks back. And where maybe they're having the women's match, and it's Bayley and Bianca again, and Sasha interferes, and it becomes a three-way at Money in the Bank. I don't know. Do you want to take three people out of your women's Money in the Bank possible match to do that? I don't know, but who knows? That's the whole point. Is there is some possibility here to do some things. It's just a matter of they need to start figuring that out. They need to start, reminding us that Sasha Banks is a person who's involved in this. Because I forgot, to be honest with you, I forgot about Sasha Banks. I forgot that she was a part of Smackdown. And
no one spoke about her. No one's even mentioned her name since the night after WrestleMania. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Bayley mentioned something about Sasha on her commentary, but there was
like
something about
minimum,
it real quick.
The bare minimum, like dropping a breadcrumb there.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see where things go from there. We'll push on. A half good, half bad promo for me coming up. Seth Rollins. This is the moment I realise that Reigns isn't wrestling at Hell in a Cell because there's no one there for him right now, and everyone's in their place quite nicely. Right. I'm okay with that because Seth Rollins and Cesaro is turning a really good feud. I half enjoyed this promo. The first half I wasn't so sure on because I did kind of like the cockiness and the arrogance and it's my birthday stuff, which usually pretty much being me from last week if I'm being honest. But then the audio from the hospital bed, and it's just all Rollins doing grunting noises, which is just awful. I hated that, and he was just laughing away, and then he just sort of switched, and this is where it got good, because it was like I don't know what happened. I all went blank, and I was like, this guy has gone crazy, and I was back on board with this character. He's like he's got some weird psychosis going on, where he's got this Seth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like thought. The Rollins.
Yeah, he gave me a crazy Vince McMahon in the '90s vibe. You know?
I was genuinely convinced. Where it's like not genuinely, but you know what I mean. Like in terms of looking at the character, it's like reading this. I was convinced where it's like Seth Rollins doesn't know what he's doing. Like he has this arrogance and cockiness. And then I think his character believes, or I say believes, I don't like. He just blanks out. He really just doesn't know what's going on, and he just attacks Cesaro. And it's quite interesting a quite an interesting storyline to have, where we've never really seen Rollins like this. We've always seen the arrogance or the Monday Night Rollins. There's a bit of fire to him, but we've never seen him. We've never seen him broken. We've never seen him snap to this extent. Like this is a man who's looked at it's like his career's at stake, and he can't. Right. He's not the top guy because someone's better than him, and he can't. mentally grasp that. Yeah. And
yeah,
it makes...
which is something that actually Rob and I talked on last week when we talked about the Fiend. Instead of the Fiend being the character that he is, being where he it's Bray Wyatt and he can't handle with everything going on and all the changes. So he goes from the Fiend to Husky Harris to, the family Bray Wyatt character to, it's that kind of aspect, and you don't know what you're getting every week. This kind of schizophrenic kind of multiple personality type person where, which they tried to do with the Wayland something character in the 80s and 90s. But, the whole point being that he doesn't know who he is and he doesn't remember. So you think you're wrestling, you start off wrestling Funhouse Bray Wyatt, but in the middle of the match, all of a sudden he kind of shifts his body and now he's more, Wyatt family Bray Wyatt. And then, maybe a few minutes later he shifts his body again and now he's Husky Harris. It's kind of one of those kind of things. And that's kind of the vibe I felt off of this is that, Seth Rollins is... He's got that kind of crazy Vince McMahon 90s psychotic kind of, going on.
You know what makes it good though is like it's great as a viewer because you don't know what's coming because they don't know what's coming. That Seth doesn't know who he's going to be. He doesn't know what he's going to do, and that's what makes it so interesting. And it's so well done to the fact where we've seen him in the ring trying to comprehend what happened, but also at the same time justify it, which is that kind of ties in the madness. Like
my hands are clean. I blame you. This is also your fault talking to the WWE universe. And my hands are clean.
It's such a cheap move normally when they say you fans out there, you're the reason I did this. But when you do it with such sincerity like that, and look down the pipe, right down the camera. It's well done, and it's a bold strategy to kind of point the finger at the fans because it normally doesn't pay off. But in this one, I thought he got away with that one. I thought he really did because all the stuff came together. It's a shame we didn't get all of that for the whole promo. I could have done. Yeah. I can see what they're trying to do with the first half. Show like the two sides of the coin, a little bit of Two-Face about him. I'd be very keen to see him do a Two-Face suit. He's got the drip going on or whatever you call it. And could you have him like one half that's like really well dressed, really fancy, and then the other side is just garish and over the top, and that's the kind of the two sides of a bit of Two-Face Rollins, which would be really fun. There's a lot of places to go.
Yeah,
and all this.
I agree.
All this does so much for Cesaro. He wasn't even on the show, but it's okay because we know what's going to come and how great it's going to be. Great for him when he overcomes this version of Rollins, and it was interesting. And if you can get me interested by the end of that, you've got my marks. You've got good marks for me for the show. And a lot of what the second half of this SmackDown was for me table setting. They set the table for what's coming up for the next few weeks, what's going on next week. It was good. It was all right. Not terrible. Where am I? Oh yeah, Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews.
I don't know. By the way, I don't know if you heard. That was my mom yelling that my girlfriend
was here.
So.
Right. We're on the pressure cooker time. I don't want to leave you away from your lady. Don't worry. The next part's not really worth talking about anyway. It was Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. You know what happened? Aziz got involved very quickly.
Nigerian male and. Kevin Owens, I won a title match, but Aziz is banned, so Adam Pearce gives him the title match with Aziz, Commander Aziz banned from ringside.
Here comes member number 3 of the army. I know it's coming. They're going to find a way around to keep that title on Apollo Crews. Don't mind it, but I feel it.
Here's my problem. I know you didn't see last week. So last week they had a 4-way or whatever, and it ended with Aleister Black.
He came back and took out Owens. No, Big E. It was Big E took out.
Big E took out Big E with a black mask, which Rob and I were like, "Oh my god, just how you worked that, I don't know." But that thing looked like he just knocked the crap out of him. But there was no Aleister Black.
Yeah, how did you not get on this show?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so you had that last week where Aleister Black interferes, helps Apollo by taking out Big E, but then nothing this week. And thought, maybe they would tie in. Maybe Aleister Black is going to be that third person. I don't know. I have no clue what they're doing with this. With this Aleister Black thing. And so and we had hide nor hair of it this week. So no mention of Big E, no mention of Aleister Black, nothing. And so that was disappointing. And so,
do you think they're going to try and half-heartedly revive the feud that they started with Kevin Owens last year? After he lost his eye, which I quite liked how they had him wear the contact lens to make it show that he still lost his eye. Do you think they're going to just try a kind of haphazard tie-in with that? Just go back to Seth Rollins, I lost my eye because of you, and I'm going to show you the way and all that business. It just seems that way. Oh, he's still there. I've lost John. He's gone again. Oh, there he is.
No,
there he is. I got worried for a second.
Everybody knows my dad tried to call me, and I'm like, guys, come on. I know he's here. I'm podcasting.
We're pushing through. We're powering through. Nakamura versus Chad Gable. Great match, as always. Not a bad match at all.
Short match.
Short.
Once again, this is another match where we had, Otis Nakamura before the match starts, to try to get that advantage for the Academy.
Yeah.
And, hey, Chad Gable and Nakamura, good match. Hard-hitting match.
Give me that work rate.
And then we have Baron Corbin trying to come take the crown, and, there's distraction, but Nakamura overcomes the distraction. And then, what'd you think about Eric Buchenheimer as he used to?
I'm going to just do that every time he comes on now. Boogs! Yeah. What a guy. I quite liked... Right. Last week worked well with the guitar thing because it landed on time. Right. This week, not so much. Because he's about to play it, and then the music starts, and he's like a few beats well off. So like, oh, he's like, oh, fuck. And you can see him adjusting. Oh, shit, wait. He's trying to catch up to fix it. Like, can someone not put something in his ear or give him a second? Give him a few seconds to get the guitar out and get himself sorted. Like, don't just drop it on him and give him no time. You just made him look like a mug. But I like it because it adds to the mystique of Nakamura. You really can see they're trying to bring back that Nakamura from New Japan, or some elements of it. The rock star side of things, because now he's coming at the music. His old music. Boogs is there. Boogs is there doing his thing. And jamming away, and then you've got the crown stuff, Baron Corbin. I start to worry more and more by the week that King of the Ring's not happened. I really went out on a limb 2 weeks ago, and no evidence to prove that it's going to come, but we'll see. I'm hoping, I'm praying. We might get it, John. We might. So there's a lot to be promising with that. There's a lot to be excited for. I don't mind Boogs doing this stuff, but there will come a time where he has to break off and do his own thing. And do we just get Elias 2.0 at this point? That is my concern.
Right.
It could be an Elias 2.0. We'll get to that point there as well. But,
well, and it was interesting. Vin came on last week, and he talked about that, about how he feels Boogs would have been better with Elias than Jackson Riker. And they could have done a lot more with it. And he said he didn't mind Boogs with Shinsuke, but once again, it's like, okay, this is good, but you could have had it better. How much more sense would it have made to have him with Elias, and if you could have really built off of that?
I think it would only work if it was like a face team. You could still have like Elias be the sort of like a, what's the word, like brought together unusual bed mates or whatever you call it. I can't remember the word exactly, but putting together where like Elias is like, I'm an artist, man. I got my music, and this is my music, this is my art. It's like, and Boog's just going woo, no, just having a laugh. And just it
still would have worked because they're both guitar players. One's an acoustic versus electric, and you have an acoustic and electric in bands and stuff like that. And you just Elias is building a band, kind of thing. And it could have worked. It
borders on the cheesy line if you put them together. That's my worry.
Yeah, which is interesting because Eric Buchenheimer or Boogs, he was barely in NXT, and they've already brought him up to be a part of Shinsuke.
And you know what's crazy is he was so fucking over when he debuted, and then it was like he did to the point where his first night he got an encore. Who gets that?
Yeah,
that he came out, played air guitar with Caleb Braxton, got jobbed big time, left, then air guitar back to the ring and out again.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah.
Why wait a year and a half to get him back on TV? It was madness.
Yeah, and he hasn't been on NXT. He hasn't really been doing anything there. So, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it from there. I like where the Corbin and Shinsuke thing is going. It's a lot of fun. I like Boogs with it. I'm looking forward to where it goes next. I feel adding him is giving Shinsuke it allows him to be more charismatic with the charismatic Shinsuke that we knew from New Japan. And I think, and then of course with the whole thing with the crown. And I don't know if you saw his social media where he's taking pictures with the crown. He's doing, showing he's surfing and waxing his board, all that kind of stuff. I love that. Like he's doing it.
It seems like they've finally found something where Nakamura can say he's having fun. Like he's actually having fun.
Because he had a crown in New Japan. He had a crown in New Japan as King of Strong Style and whatever. And so let him run with that and have fun. Yeah. So it was good. It was good. So what was next? I don't even remember this.
We're there. We're at the main event. We can close this off because I was not big. I was a big fan of this. It was like Rey Mysterio gets attacked backstage by Ziggler and Rude, and then they try and demand the third time of the night. And then they demanded a forfeit from Dominic. Who was like, "Nah, mate, I'm doing this by myself." And this is where the bullshit happens, right? Rey Mysterio was injured. There's nothing to say he's out of the match, but we have a handicap match. And then Ray gets involved. Well, it's not quite. His music hits and he walks to the ring, and then there's some kind of confusion. Then Dominic pins Rude. But it's like, but why? You could just come out and get involved. There's no reason why you couldn't have gotten this match. But hey ho, Dominic got the one. It was an alright match. Rude, Ziggler and Rude suffered in this match. Oh man, my mouth is going out all places. Ziggler and Rude suffered big time from this. They didn't need to lose like this. A handicap match just seems a bit egregious. I get we're trying to get Dominic some experience, make him look good. Set them up. Maybe they're setting them up for the Usos because again, a win like this makes them look really good. Because
they play next week. The Usos and the Mysterios play next week. But then
you've got Ziggler and Hood, who, okay, granted, they never had a title match all that often, but they're a good pairing. They do good matches.
Mm-hmm.
They deserve a bit better. I wouldn't minded a match where it was all just shithousery from Rude and Ziggler and Dominic. I don't know, or they done something, they beat him up so much that they got counted out, or the DQ finish. Something to kind of give them a bit of heat. With this, they just look daft because they got distracted by Rey Mysterio's music.
Right.
And it's like, you should be prepared for him potentially being in the match if you're thinking this in kayfabe terms. Like, you've got to be switched on and on the ball. A bit of a damp squib ending for me. But I suppose this is the consequence of competing with AEW's go home show for Double or Nothing. Where it's like, as you say, we went top heavy at the beginning, so we had all the best stuff at the first half of the show. And then it was just sort of setting it was just setting the table, shuffling the deck, getting everything in the right place. So they'd done some good work and getting the next few weeks of TV in line, which I'm fine with. Right. We could have finished. I think we could have finished on Nakamura and Chad Gable, or Rollins and Apollo Crews. I think something like they had a bit more of a story behind it to finish. I think it would be a good look for Nakamura, who's posing, Boogs playing in the background with a guitar, and he's posing with the crown. That's a nice go home shot. You could have hyped up Rollins for the whole show. You could have had Rollins speaks after his attack on Cesaro and have that promo at the end, and the last thing you see is you, and then the lights go down, show over. They had good execution, but they just didn't have some things in the right places for me, and it could have turned a good show into a great show, or the second half could have been a good second half, a much better second half, because we waxed lyrical at how good the first half was, but the second half just they made it harder for themselves than it really needed to be. Granted, though, still doing much better than Raw by a country mile. There's no denying that.
Yeah.
They're doing a little bit better than NXT.
Yeah.
I've not really followed NXT too much. I thought they did better than AEW this week. I didn't really rate AEW all that much, and especially the last two matches where it got like the last match where that involved Dark Order and then the Inner Circle segment. It got a bit hokey at the end, and it was like, okay, fair enough. We know what we're getting. So I think SmackDown was the strongest show this week, but then I'm biased.
I would
Impact
agree.
fans will be sitting there going, "No, it was not." But no, it was a solid show all around. So good stuff. Any closing thoughts on SmackDown before we? I suppose we'll tie things up from here. I suppose.
Yeah. No, I mean honestly, no. Like you said, it's top heavy, and it was downhill from the beginning. After that, I mean, such a strong start, and which was weird because it's not something you associate with WWE. They're having strong starts to shows, but they had an amazing start to the show, and you're just going, all right, and then it just kind of slowly petered out from there. When you have the Usos and the Street Profits put on a match and say, follow this, I mean,
good luck.
There was no way. You weren't going to get, nothing was going to compare to anything like that. So you just have to be going, okay, well, all right, I guess this is where we go from here. And, and it almost felt like nobody wanted to compete with that, in a way. It's like, well, they just tore the house down, so we'll just have
I feel like that should be like motivation, if anything. You should be like, okay, here we're having this card. Okay, we're doing it.
You would think, but it didn't feel like that on the show. The show didn't feel like that at all. There was no motivation to maintain that high level.
Who was booking
so?
But
but it was an okay show. I would give it, if you're going to go out of 5, I'd give it a 2.5, or I give it half of whatever rating
I don't know.
Give it. It's out of 10
I'd
stars,
give it a solid.
I'd give it half.
I'd give it a solid 3.5. I thought they did a wee bit better than a 2.5 for me.
Well, I guess because the back half of the show was so poor compared to the front half. That's why I'm saying 2.5. It was almost like it was a two-phase show. The front half of the show, I was like, all right, this is pretty good. And then you hit that hour mark, and then the back half of the show is just kind of like, all right, whatever. So, that's why I say 2.5, just because half the show was really good, half the show I thought could really use some work.
What do you think of Roman Reigns playing this kind of pot stirring role this week? It seems to me that he's not going to be at Hell in a Cell, which is okay. As I say, they're doing a lot of set of the table. Is this quite a good thing that we're not going to get too much? Like, if we say this is like the kind of the blueprint for the next few weeks, to me, do you think it's a bit more refreshing that we get that we're not going to be getting too much Roman Reigns? They maybe taking notes from his babyface runs. Like, okay, we've done quite a lot with him for the past few months. Let's just give him a month on the back burner. Still keep him there because he's a big part to play. Still, he's still the main cog in this whole thing. But it's enough where they can say, you know what, we're good. We can keep the aura around him, and Cesaro and Rollins can take the load for the next couple of weeks. Back we go for Money in the Bank, or back we go for SummerSlam. I don't think they'll wait that long to get Reigns back in a pay-per-view event. They're going to keep it for a big match like Money in the Bank. So for me, I think they're doing okay with him right now. I think they're doing a good job in keeping that in the right. Like they don't have to try hard for this, which is even better. They don't have to work harder than what they've got.
Right.
So it was good. UTT Rob, I've got a question from you, but I think we'll hold that off till next week if that's okay, my friend. I do apologise. We do want to get. We've just got some things we've got to clear off pretty soon. So I don't want to keep John on for too much longer than he has to, because his lady will not be amused, and I don't want to get on her bad side today. So.
You never want to get on the bad side of a teacher. Let's say it that way.
Trust. What I'll do is I'll make a note to make it one of the main talking points of the show next week. But I'll tell you what. I'll ask you the question, and I'll give you till next week to give me the answer. How about that? Would that be a sufficient good to go?
Okay.
Now,
because
I feel like I have to do some justice to him because he does so well asking these questions. So I'll have it. What we'll do is we'll have it here. Okay. We'll have a few days to ponder on it. We come back next week and we come with our answers and we can discuss it. Right? We'll do it that way. Because he said.
Okay.
So UTT Rob at UTT Rob on YouTube. Hope the whole podcast is going well, my friend. If you had to pick 3 members of the SmackDown roster to be on a pub quiz team with you, who would you pick and which team would win? Now, that's a great question. I think I've had some thoughts, but I reckon you could get some good answers for that there. I think it'd be a fun time.
Yeah.
So we'll put a pin on it from there.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this,
3 people.
Yeah, 3 people live. People watch this after the fact as well, so we see you. We see you coming on a day or two afterwards. Mostly me. But if you're on the chat, if you're on Twitter, give us your answers. We'll read them out in the show next week. So if you want to pick a pub quiz team, 3 people and yourself, who would you pick? Why? Who do you think would win? Great ways to get in touch with us to answer that question. You can find us on Twitter at SmackAttackHMG. You can email us directly, smackattackhammeandmedia@gmail.com. You'll find us over in the Hammy and Media discussion group on Facebook. Join us there. There's a lot of content, some great content in terms of chats, live event. We'll do some live discussions of shows, SmackDown, Raw, NXT, AEW, pay-per-views. We've got UFC ones that pop up there as well, which is fantastic. Willie Malacia, some of the best news content in the world. We talked about the New Japan deal that happened. That was partly broke by Willie Malacia. So some other stuff he's put out that we've not even touched on. This is news content that he's getting out months in advance at times. Months. Like, we touched on the sale of WWE. People scoffed at that story that WWE could be up for sale soon. That, I'm telling you, that could happen very soon. And he wouldn't just put something out there for the sake of it. There are some news stories where he will jump out the rumor, but when it's a big news story, no, he's on the nose. He's very good at that. So I'll go to bat for him. Yeah. Apart from when he does nonsense AEW stuff. There, I said it. So get on there. We do pick-ups for pay-per-views as well. So get involved in that. It'd be great to see you there. Everything Hammy Media Group. We're in, as we say, we're on the process of moving, which is really exciting. I'm like, ooh. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes up with that. Being paired up with Russo Brand and things like that. We've got the Patreon, as Rob's alluded to. Rob as well, at Rad Rob Gaming on Twitter. It's been a good show, hasn't it? It's been absolutely fun. Oh, Fighter fans. Fuck, forgot about them. I better not forget Fighter fans, or Jesus, they'll not be happy with me.
Hey, see what happened?
Week off, and it's like, oh boy. Our friends at Fighter Fans site, fighterfans.com, the vertical online for all things combat sports, boxing, UFC, pro wrestling. It's all there. The Smack Attack has a home there as well. They share our shows out on their websites and their Twitter feed. So keep it unlocked with them. YouAreLoved.com. Jackson Stone's project, YouAreLovedLife.com, I should say, at YouAreLovedLife. Some great stuff if you're looking for help with mental health, looking after yourself, things to look for if you want to help others. You can get in touch with Jackson himself. John, you've got a direct line to the man. You can get all kinds of information and tips. So take the time out.
Yeah. Well, but also you can too. He has a what they call superphone number or something like that, where you get weekly affirmations and stuff from him directly as well. So I mean, I have his personal number, but I also signed up for that as well. But yeah, anybody can have access through that superphone where he'll send messages or video, voice things to people to encourage them. And you can hear his voice and just hear how good of a man he is, as well. So that's something that I believe is either on his Twitter or on the You Are Love Life page as well, where you can sign up for that. So make sure you check that out. If you're looking for some encouragement for your mental health, it's a great way to go about it.
Yeah,
with Jackson
absolutely. Gam has said, nice boat. That is a nice boat. Is that your boat?
Yeah. It's technically kind of it's my parents, but yeah.
But that is like,
those are my jet
yeah. I mean, if you think of it as a food chain, it's like once things happen, it's yours. If they're just like, I'm not going to boat again, it's your boat.
Yeah.
That's just the way of being the kid.
That's
they'll give you. Hand me down for that.
That's kind of like the 6 classic cars that my dad has up in the garage up there. Those are going to be mine.
My parents are.
So, and those jet skis, by the way, they have a Bluetooth speaker on them, so you can listen to Hameen Media while you're.
Look at this. You've got like boats here, and I'm sitting here going, I'm getting a mini off my parents because they don't want it anymore. I'm like, yeah, sweet. You got boats. This is the levels. I'm nicknamed Money for some reason, and then here's you with boats, and there's me getting like a 2005 Mini. What's going on?
Yeah, but you got to understand what happens with my parents does not transfer down to me. So, I'm a working class man with first class parents.
Oh yeah. No, I'll see. What you say that, but there will be footage of you one day, sometime soon, of you on that boat, and I'm like, I knew it. I knew he's getting that boat. I knew he's doing it. He's had me on. Yeah, but on that note, you can ride off at the sunset. I'm going to do much the same. I'm going to look forward to the Champions League final. It's going to be a good end. I'm going to have a few drinks and party. Well, I say party. I'm just going to chill and watch football. I love it when it comes up. Thank you so much if you're on the YouTube live list just now. It's been great having you. It's always love to talk. We always love talking with you. We love it when you get involved. Always stick it here on All Things Hammy Media Group. We love it when you're involved. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. And we will see you next week once again for another edition of the Smack Attack. Cheery. Boo!